What's up, my friends, and welcome into today's episode. I'm so glad that you are here. I had a special day recording this episode. I hadn't talked to Liv in a while. I hadn't seen her in a while. We had taken a break from recording her show, but I got to go see her in person. So this was recorded live in her garage studio in the Houston area. We spent the whole day together. Got to, eat together, catch up. We went and saw a movie. But we also got to record this episode, and we hope that you enjoyed. If you do, please hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening to the podcast or on YouTube. We're closing in on 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, which would be a huge milestone for us as we work towards becoming YouTube partners. We're a little over 800 now. So if you have not hit subscribe yet on YouTube, youtube.com/Forte Catholic, hit that subscribe button, hit the old bell. It would be hugely helpful to us as we continue to grow. Thank you guys. Y'all are the best. Enjoy today's episode. What's up? And welcome to Forte Catholic. I am Taylor Schroll. I just yelled so loud that your garage door was like, should I open? I think this might be the signal that the owners want me to open. Hello, Olivia.
Hello, Taylor.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
We're back. I mean, you live here.
I live here.
I'm back in your studio.
Yeah.
It has been literally months. So the theme of the last 2 week shows is
The girls are back.
oh, there they are.
Taylor needs women in his life.
Yeah, very, that's been true my whole life.
That is true.
And they've been lacking my whole life.
That is true.
You know what else I noticed here is your lighting is either better or worse than mine. My head is incredibly shiny.
So shiny. So shiny.
Oh, man. So,
yeah.
we started off last week's show where I was like, hey, Allison, welcome back. Where you been? So...
How'd she answer?
She was pretty honest. So let's see how honest you want to be. Hey, Liv, where you been?
In Houston.
Cool. Next segment. So yeah, I used to like produce your show. I was here multiple times a week.
And then you had
multiple times a month.
You were out winning state, man.
I was.
You were.
Both of our lives fell apart at the same time. Mine was busy with I got sick and track season.
I travel a lot. I travel a ton.
Yeah.
So when I would be home, you would be tracking. And then when you were, no, that's really all you did. So you just finished the season.
I
did. Yeah, for sure.
It's
and I'm about
back.
to leave again.
Yeah, exactly. That was part of it. Was like last month I was like, okay, I'm finally ready to record. Are you ready to record? You're like, I'm in New York. And then I was like, hey, you want to record? And you're like, I'm in Oahu or wherever the heck you were. And I was like, God, I need some help. And you're like, don't worry, I can record anywhere. It's like, I don't know if the people want you on a beach sipping a Mai Tai on the other half of this show.
I do.
You do.
I want that. Yeah.
Right.
No. So no, it was just bad timing. It was just life, but it was, it's all good. It's all good. I missed you.
I missed me too.
And your bald head.
The real me, my shiny head. This is ridiculous.
You look like Mr. Clean.
So I always have, I was going for Walter White.
You look like a magic eraser.
I am the one who knocks. That's what I was.
I don't know what that means.
You don't know Breaking Bad?
No, I've never watched it.
It's the greatest show ever. I was wondering why you didn't comment that I look like Walter White, because I kind of look like a guy who would quit his job to sell drugs.
Aren't you? I'm just kidding. That was a joke.
Where do you think the funding for the show comes
from?
ForteCatholic.com/donate.
No, that's why we need the people to donate so you don't.
Exactly.
We're saving your soul by giving you money.
Save my soul, keep the drug street free. If you went to the DARE program, how you can live that out as an adult is to go to ForteCatholic.com/donate. Keep me out of the streets. Yeah. Did you know?
Yeah, I'm ready.
This is something that I don't think I've talked about on the show. And if I did, it was many years ago when I had no listeners. Now I have like 8. So what's up? Judy, Tim,
my
Bob,
parents.
Mom,
no, not my parents. Your mother.
Right. Your mother. Don't bring my mother into this. So
she likes me. Hi.
When I was a kid, when I was a young warthog.
I was about to say the same thing.
When I was a little kid. So when I was really young and I was in junior high, I had a best friend. I know it's surprising to everybody. But my best friend's mom told my best friend that he could no longer hang out with me. Yeah. And I didn't know why. Because I'm not a great influence, but I'm not bad, you know? That's
my mom said the same thing
about me.
But now.
Yeah, exactly.
She said that last week.
She was like, I think he makes crystal meth in a lab with Jesse.
She just thinks you're mean to me.
I am. I have said this many times. The problem is not that your parents and I disagree that I'm mean to you. The only difference is I think you deserve it. They do not. Yeah.
That's the difference. No, that's true. Okay, so
when I was a kid, I learned a lot about myself through rumors because my life was really boring, so there was nothing to actually, know. But I heard it through the grapevine that I had been the understudy. This is everything that I heard. I had been the understudy for the biggest drug dealer in town. And it was very public knowledge that drug dealer got caught and went to jail. So who was next in line? Me. So apparently I was set to become the biggest drug dealer in town. The only problem was at this time in my life, I had never seen drugs. I had never been around drugs. I had never smoked drugs. I had never dealt drugs. This was all quite a farce. And I lost a friend for like 3 months because mom believed it and told my mom. And my mom laughed. He's just like, no, he's a loser. He doesn't deal drugs, I lost a friend because everybody thought I was Walter White back then. And I was a really good kid.
And what about now?
Well, maybe she had some intuition.
Stop. Taylor, that's
a mother's intuition.
I love that you said understudy. I thought maybe you guys were like in Aladdin together or something. I was like, understudy. That was an interesting word. Is that a drug term, Taylor?
Oh, 100%. They use a lot of terms from the theater. You would know this if you were the biggest drug dealer in your town and lost friends over it.
I was the biggest theater nerd in town. Sure. Same Z's.
You were always the understudy.
I'm like, do you guys
never
have
the star?
Right. Exactly. I'm like, do you guys have a playbill?
Always the maid, never the bride.
That's true. It's still true.
So that was a random thing about me. It's not what we planned on talking about today, but that's why I was like, our notes were a little sparse today, but I was like, it's Liv. We'll think of something to talk about. Like drugs. Me being a drug dealer.
Nancy
when
Reagan.
I had never seen a drug before in my life.
Just say no.
Yeah, it was very silly.
None of those work.
So DARE program, fortecatholic.com/donate. Okay. So, that's your life. Thanks for the deep sharing there. We really dove into it. You were mad at me because you were like, oh, ask me about my life. Then I asked you about your life and you're like, what's going on in your life? So,
I also try not to brag about my life. That gets annoying for you.
It does.
It does. You get a little snobby about it.
Like
you make fun of me.
I'm not a drug dealer.
I didn't say you were.
I'm getting close. And you're like, I'm going to Hawaii and Paris and France and Ireland.
I invited you to Hawaii. And
that was last summer.
That was in November. And I've invited you to Ireland.
No, you haven't.
Yes, I have. You were invited to Ireland.
I think I told you no because I don't have enough money. That's the whole point.
I pay you, so you should have enough money at this point.
Not enough.
Oh my gosh. So crazy.
Okay, so enough about your life.
I know. I knew we would get there. Go ahead.
I'm not a drug dealer, but I'm close. That's the point of this segment. So
it's not true.
And I'm gonna wrap it into this what we were gonna plan
All
to
right,
talk
let's
about.
go.
Okay. So just a follow up for those who were listening last week. So I filled you in a little bit just as a human person, but I had a very terrible weekend. And then it got completely turned around by some great stuff that God did and the great stuff the community did. If you missed it, go back and listen to last episode on YouTube, wherever fine podcasts are downloaded. ForteCatholic.com. I thought you were going to help and you didn't. You just sat there.
ForteCatholic.com.
That was so gross. Okay.
Listen, I'm not Margot Robbie. I can't be beautiful and intelligent, Taylor.
You're like, oh, I host 18 radio shows, but I can't do a promo for one.
Give Taylor money. Go to Forte Catholic.
You sound like Ben Stein. Win Ben Stein's money.
Where is Ben Stein?
Donate to ForteCatholic.com.
I hope he didn't die.
Okay,
go ahead.
Follow up to last week. So terrible weekend, great day the next day. The irony is, I came on the show, recorded with Allison. I recorded on Wednesday. The show came out, late Wednesday night, early Thursday morning.
I was going to say that's cutting it close.
So yeah, it was late because you canceled on me. So
Okay, I hurt my back like a 90-year-old.
you said you hurt your back, and then I saw your Instagram post, and you were like traveling around the city. You were like, "Oh, I'm at St. Ventures. I'm with all these fancy people." That was
on Thursday.
Yeah, sure.
I hurt my back on Saturday.
I think you just avoided. We were trying to avoid talking to me.
That is not even close to true.
This was scheduled for last week.
Taylor, let's hug.
No. So I'm sitting there Wednesday night.
Yeah.
And literally Wednesday night, because Alice and I recorded the show on Wednesday, and I had this whole conversation that you can hear on last week's episode where I talked about terrible weekend and go into details, and then really, really cool what the community did, what God did to completely go from like terrible weekend to like great day.
Believing in humanity again.
Right. Like seriously, I was about to become a drug dealer. You know, like it was that bad. So that's such a weird running joke.
You've never even met a drug dealer.
Yeah, I have.
I have too. Go ahead. That's a different day.
It's just you. Okay, so everybody needs a high-end one.
Stop.
How do we think you get all this
money?
What
if there's a first-time listener?
What's up?
Give them a reason to stay, Taylor.
Right. No, they're listening. They're staying for this. Like, this guy's insane. He thinks he's Walter White. He might be.
I don't even know what it is.
Wednesday night. Literally, I finished editing the show like around 11:30 midnight that night, and like hit publish. It went out because like usually I schedule the show to go out at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
On like
Thursday.
Tuesday, Wednesday morning, right?
Okay.
Wednesday morning at 1 a.m. But we were a day late. Not a huge deal, especially because we'd been mission shows over the month. It's like, a day late's better than not having one. Hey, your family's here.
You get so distracted.
I cannot record with Windows.
You can't. I have an entire glass door garage door like Jay Leno because the people who own this house.
Most women have a glass ceiling. You have a glass wall.
I have a glass wall. I do.
You gotta run through it.
It's true. The people that owned this house before me, they had McLarens. I didn't even know what a McLaren was. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I called you a McCarran because you're a Karen that likes McDonald's.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So you publish it. It's Wednesday.
I publish it.
Barely happens.
I'm stressed out. Like it was a busy day, but like things were good, but it was just a busy day because I was so kind of stressed out. And I was like, I'm going to go play video games and like de-stress a little bit.
Right.
So I have my headphones on so that I can my shooting game, you need to hear, you can hear like if a guy's coming on your left or on your right, like you have the headphones on. So I have my headphones on and I hear this loud bang at like 12:30 at night, midnight, 12:30 at night. And immediately, like I'm in the middle of the game and I just like rip off my headphones. I like put the controller down and I look at, like I had my headphones. So like I could hear the bang, but I couldn't directionally really hear where it was because I had my headphones on and they're pretty close to noise canceling, right? But I could hear the bang. I looked at my door. Nobody's coming in the door or the window that I'm in. So I sprint to the other two doors because like those two doors are between me and where my family is. So I'm like going crazy. That door's fine. That door's fine. And I'm like, this is weird. So then I rush into like the room where my kids are, where my wife is. Everybody's sound asleep. Like no door slammed. And I went and like walked around the house. Like nothing fell. And I'm like, this is weird. So I ended up staying up till like 2:30 just in case there was like somebody trying to break in and like hit the door. It didn't work. And then maybe saw a light pop on or something. Right. So I'm like kind of weirded out. Next morning, I finally go to sleep at like 2:30 because I'm tired. Take my sleeping medicine, all this stuff. I go to sleep. I wake up the next morning, and everything's fine. And I start drinking my morning coffee, and I look out my window from my back door, and I like usually like we have a fence. We have a pretty small backyard, and all of a sudden I can just see forever, and I'm like, what? It was the fence. The fence had fallen over. So right after I had come on the show and literally hit publish on the show, we're like, everything was bad and now everything's great. And then my fence in my backyard fell apart. And I'm like, what is happening?
Can you just put glue down there and just glue it back?
No. So
was there wind? Why did it fall?
It was old. I think there was a little bit of wind, but like it's an old crappy fence, right? So it was bound to at some point. I didn't realize it was,
What if there was a teenager that was running and jumped over because he wanted you to be a drug dealer with him?
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, and then he thought about it.
Dropping it on the back porch. It's a great place to drop drugs.
This is the worst. Golly.
So,
do not endorse drugs. Please say that out loud.
This is called satire and sarcasm. If you're not used to that by now, go away.
Sorry, Mom.
No, I'm not apologizing.
I was apologizing to my mother because we know she listens.
I'm not apologizing.
I was kidding. She doesn't.
A sarcastic apology. Good.
There we go.
So the irony is like I had already had enough stress the week.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I can't deal with this. So like, my wife's like, I'm going to go over there and talk to him. I said, no, you're not. Because like, we had all these financial problems and then they got solved. And then I was like, nah, of course the fence is going to break. And I don't know if you've heard recently, but a lot of people are like, struggling to find a house or build a house. All I've heard is that wood is very expensive. So it's like, I don't want to, because like the fence is bad enough. Like my big worry was like, oh, we want to replace the whole fence. And it's like, I don't have the money to even split it with them, Right. ForteCatholic.com/donate drug dealers. So I don't have the money to do it. So I'm like, I wonder if I just ignore this problem, if it'll go away.
Well, the children run into the field.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So our neighbors behind us, we do nothing about it for a day. So all of Thursday happens. They don't approach us. We don't approach them. This is going great for me. I don't need a fence. What do I need a fence for?
Wait, pause. Yeah. Have you met them before?
No.
Okay, great.
They're like my behind us neighbors.
That's fine.
So they're not on our street.
I didn't know if you had like a Tim Allen thing going, you talk over the fence. Okay, great.
I've talked about this before. Like as extroverted as I am, like I don't talk to my neighbors.
Same.
I don't talk to my neighbors at all.
I don't either.
Our next door neighbors to the left are our age. They moved in within a year after we did. We talked to them, but other than that, we don't talk to anybody.
That'll be another talk. Anyway, go ahead.
We need our safe space to recharge. That's what extroverts
even
are.
as an extrovert.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Huh.
So,
all right. So day
if you
goes
listen to the
by.
show, you would have heard about that before. So
Taylor.
The next morning happens. But remember, I'm trying to avoid this problem.
Yeah.
The next morning, I wake up. It's just me and Felicity, 4-year-old at home.
Who we are both obsessed with.
Yeah, she's my favorite.
She's the best.
So, so she's like, Daddy, there's somebody in our backyard. So it was a guy from the other house looking at the fence. It's a guy I've never seen before, he's an older guy.
Oh.
So I'm like, I've been trying to avoid this. I have a lot of work to do today. I had like meetings that morning.
You had like real people things.
Right. I had like a really important meeting that morning.
Like an adult.
You may or may not hear about in the future that I'm really excited about. So I had two important meetings that morning. And I had a lot of editing to do. And I was like, I need to avoid this. I don't have the mental capacity, the stress level to do this. But then I saw this older man out there by himself. And I was like, I am obliged to go help, right? Like I have to go help him. Because it is
in the Bible.
It's half my problem. I was like looking up stuff. It's like, what are the laws for fences in Texas? I was like, if it's on their property, it's all theirs. If it's on my property, it's all mine. But if it's like right in the middle, then we do have to split it. So I was like, whatever.
Now, there is a chance it could be on his property and you didn't know that.
Right.
That is true.
So I was like, I'm not putting a dime in this until somebody says I have to. It's essentially where I'm at because I just don't have the money for it. But he's out there and like, I'm like, I got to go. I got to go outside. So sure enough, me and Felicity go outside. It's 1,000,000 degrees outside.
That's smart to bring Felicity.
Yeah.
That was smart.
She was my guard
dog. Like a puppy.
Yeah, exactly. Just like your stupid dog sitting over there.
I love my dog.
He's so dumb.
He's so fluffy.
I go over there. He's super nice.
Yeah.
Like, we get to talking. Like the owner of the house, they were just happened to be coming into town from Chicago. They drove down, but essentially it's an older lady who lives by herself that lives in this house. I didn't know that. We had heard kids playing in the back. I guess it was all just nieces, nephews, grandkids, whatever.
Yeah.
So we assumed it was like another family or whatever. And we figured that's why they were affording it because they didn't want to pay for it either with all the little kids. But it's this little old lady that lives by herself. And they were already coming down anyway. And like, ironically enough, he comes down a few times a year because he's a handyman. Like he comes down a few times a year to hang out with her, but also like.
He's not a relative?
No, they've been like, so.
That's really cool.
There are these 3 couples that were all scoutmasters together. And like, they always stayed together. And then even as some of them have passed away, they still all get together a few times a year.
Is this going to be you and Sam, me and Nathan and Allison and Seth?
Oh, y'all will be dead way before that, before I'm old.
Taylor, I want you to come visit me throughout the year and be a handyman.
I'm not a handyman at all.
Taylor, I want you to come and visit me.
Oh no, look, a problem that I have to avoid.
I'll never see you when I'm old.
Right. You're getting
so
close.
Now I know.
Why do you think I've been gone the last 5 months?
I have one more year before it expire in your life.
For sure.
Wow. Okay, this is an amazing story.
So,
all right, he's visiting.
It ends up being this thing like they bought the material. Essentially, we're not going to replace because like we were all pretty honest, and he's like, she can't afford replacing the fence. Like, we're all like, we can all agree it's a crappy fence.
Yeah.
But she can't afford to do it. I can't afford to do it. So we're just going to fix it. We all have enough money to buy like new posts.
Yeah, a piece of wood.
Right.
And 3 nails.
Right, exactly. Pretty close. We were like taking old ones out and putting them back in.
You're like you have like a metal detector trying to find old nails and
Felicity, come here, I got a job for you. But it was so funny because it ended up being like this good morning. Like, I don't like, that's the thing is like, it wasn't just avoiding stress, but like, I don't like not knowing what I'm doing in a scenario. Like, I'm good at a lot of things when it comes to cars, which was the problem last week. When it comes to like manual labor, like I'm not a man. Like I don't know how to do that stuff. I can do
non-manual labor.
Right, I can do labor. I'm just not a man. So like essentially, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like I helped my dad with a fence years ago, and I was like, this is super confusing. It's way more confusing than it should be, right? But I see him, and he's like digging, like like a hole. I was like, give me that. Like I can dig the hole, Like you just tell me what to do.
Seen the movie Holes? I like Shia LaBeouf.
That's what I felt like. It was 1,000,000 degrees, and
where's Sigourney Weaver?
Dig it out, on, dig it. Dig it out, on. I literally played in my head while I was doing it.
That is hilarious.
But what was so funny is like it ended up being a cool morning. Or it was very hot, but like a cool interaction. Like the lady that lived there and her husband used to be missionaries years ago, so they were pretty understanding of like the work that I do.
Oh wow!
And we were out there for a couple hours, and Felicity, like I just as like the childlike pleasure she had of like, there's been a wall here that she couldn't get past or see past.
Yeah.
And she got to play in a whole new yard all morning. She played with the little old lady and threw the ball, and then she got to like, she learned what chimes were because we don't have chimes. They had like 8 chimes in the back. So she got to run around and play. And then finally around lunchtime, like there was a meeting that I couldn't reschedule. I was able to reschedule one for later, but I couldn't reschedule one. And I was like, hey, I'm going to go. We got to go inside for a bit. It's really hot. I need her to cool down. I need to shower and go for a meeting, but I'll come back later. He's like, don't worry about it. We got the hard part done. I'll take care of the rest. And sure enough, he took care of the rest of the day.
That's incredible.
But yeah, it ended up being a cool day, and our fence is fixed, and he like reinforced a couple of other places where like it could fall in the future. Because I kept thinking about like the old wine, new wine skins thing. Like we're going to put a post here and like the whole rest of the fence is going to fall the next time,
But that part.
Right. 8-mile-an-hour winds.
Yeah, that'll stay up. So that's exciting.
They were talking about like, oh, we're not going to replace the fence. We'll just make a gate. That way she can come over and play. I was like, this is really sweet,
That's sweet. I love that.
So it was just really funny that like, last week, I was, coming on here to talk about, I was initially going to talk about how bad my weekend was. And then it became this really cool thing.
Amazing.
And then another bad thing happened. And then it was like, okay, I would say doing manual labor for 4 hours in the heat is less good than receiving $1,200 in 20 minutes, but still pretty good.
Is it though?
Oh, 100%.
You might have gotten out of purgatory with that work.
No, that's hanging out with you. And it's air conditioned in here. I'm still sweating. But I heard this quote this week, and I feel like I admitted to a lot of anger last week on last week's show, but I feel like if I would have had this week like 3 months ago, it would have been a really ugly week instead of just like what's going on? Like, what is happening? And I heard this quote from Tertullian. It's like, have you heard of him? He's very fancy. He's like an early church writer.
Come on, Taylor.
The answer is no. So,
did Shonda Rhimes write about him? Because if not, then no.
Is that Leanne's sister?
That's Bridgerton writer. Oh, nice. Shonda. Nice. And Grey's Anatomy. Go ahead.
Shonda Lene. Okay. Tertullian wrote, God finds delight in our wrestling with him. And I thought that was interesting because a lot of times people are afraid to like quote unquote wrestle with God. God, I'm angry at you. God, why is all this stuff happening? God, what's going on here? Where are you? Why are you doing this? And I thought it was just interesting that like, we have said before, it's like, no, it's a good thing to wrestle. That didn't, I think this took it even a step further of like, no, God finds delight in our wrestling. And I was like, that's an interesting thought.
That's an interesting thought. Well, and not because, that's funny that you say that because I had a friend that one time said, and it wasn't to me, something horrific happened to someone that we knew, and they were really angry.
They became a drug dealer and went to jail.
They were really angry with God and couldn't move past it. Like it had gotten to the point where like it was becoming very destructive in their life. You know what I mean? It was consuming them. The anger with God was consuming them. It wasn't just like, oh, I'm angry with God. It was like that was their life. They ate and breathed, whatever. And this person went to confession. and confessed all of it, at least had, wanted to do that. And the priest told them, you know what? God can take it. Go ahead, be angry. And it was kind of interesting that permission of like being angry, like just hearing that, right? Like that he finds delight in the wrestling. It kind of makes you be like, huh, okay. You know what I mean? Like if someone had said, don't ever get fussy with God, then we'd be like, oh,
what's funny is I would never say that I was fussy, but I was definitely fussy with God.
I was fussy with God.
You're annoying. Why is this all happening? What's going on?
But I feel like you would have gotten worse.
I was doing good.
Right, exactly.
I thought I loved you. Like all this stuff. That's me. That's Fussy Taylor.
You are fussy. Voice. You are fussy. What do you sound like a Muppet?
So the thing that kind of struck me about he delights in it is that, because I always thought like wrestling with God is better. It's better than the alternative. Because if bad things happen and you don't wrestle with God, you're either stupid, you're just like, oh yes, everything's fine, everything's all hunky dory, or you're walking away from God. Like those are the other alternatives, right?
That's true.
Instead of like doing the wrestling. So of course he delights in that because that's what's building the relationship.
Yeah.
So,
well, and you're showing up. At least you're interacting. I mean, as a human, wouldn't you rather somebody talk to you than ghost?
Oh, 100%.
Exactly.
God is like the old man showing up in my backyard being like, I'm here. You got to come help.
Yeah. And Taylor's like, I'm trying to ghost you.
Those people weren't real. This was just an episode of Touched by an Angel.
That's probably true. Right? It was Roman Downey.
The little old lady is still in the house, and I did all the work by myself with the angels.
Yeah. That's right. She's like, there was no man.
Right.
I never had a husband.
Right. That is right. You have 6 now.
What? Taylor.
That's the Bible. The last thing, because I feel like my relationship with God and like being involved in the church and having a community at church again has been helping me.
Yeah.
And I found this other thing that like kind of exemplified the last week. You've heard of the Paraclete, yes?
Like the guy that works at Mass.
He wears it's a football player. He wears a pair of cleats. The old footballer.
You mean like the Holy Spirit?
Yes, the Paraclete, the Holy Spirit. Yes, the
but
guy that works at Mass.
Isn't that also called a Paraclete at Mass?
No. I thought you were making a joke, and I was like,
no, it's like a.
I literally thought you were making a joke, and I looked at you in the eyes like that wasn't funny.
No, I'm serious. Like the men that are like altar servers on the altar, aren't they called Paracletes?
I've never heard that in my life, and somebody listening knows.
Needs to tell us.
I'm gonna go ahead and go on a risk.
Holy Spirit, got it.
I'm gonna go on a risk and say you're very wrong and not even close, and we'll see what the audience says.
All right, that's fair.
Okay.
Well, at least I got the Holy Spirit part.
Yeah, thank God.
Thank God.
So the word I learned something new in a homily. Paracletus is like the
sounds like a Roman, a Roman emperor.
Maximilian Paracletus.
Off with his head.
Did you know that he was there with Bruno to stab him?
No.
But we don't talk about Bruno, so we have to talk about Paracletus. Okay, that was all fake. You were like, no, I didn't know that.
But did you see that I went with it?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, yeah.
You're very good at doing the yes and because you're not smart enough to know otherwise.
So true.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
I love that guy. He's my favorite Roman.
Maximus Paracletus. Okay.
Now I want to watch. Yeah, go ahead.
A Paracletus. It was a large. I don't know why I did that. I was making fun of you and laughing, and I made myself a stupid noise. Maybe I am on drugs. Okay, large ship. It was a large ship that would guide a small ship back to shore when it was struggling.
Okay.
So it's like the opposite of what we think of tugboats now. Which, by the way,
maybe that's why we have tugboats now, because they're like, I mean, this isn't really working out with the large ship pulling in the little. What if we flip it?
Right. This will make sense.
Hold on, that works.
Have you ever legitimately seen a tugboat do one of the big
It's unbelievable.
Carriers?
Like those barges. And here's the thing, and you see, you see those boxes on them, and you're like, wait, that's an 18-wheeler. Those are each 18-wheelers, and there's like 7 million of them, and then this little tugboat, doop, and you're like, that's crazy.
Right.
How big is that barge?
Unreal. So back in the day, we didn't have whatever the most impressive technology I've ever seen, I think, is a tugboat. They didn't have that kind of engineering 2,000 years ago.
No way.
So they had to use a larger ship. So when there's big waves and wind, if a smaller ship was struggling, it was a big ship that would come alongside it and would guide it back to shore, like back to safety, right?
Oh, so that's why like a guide, like the Paraclete.
Right.
Taylor.
So like the Holy Spirit is our guide, right?
Oh.
And like much more powerful and that's bigger than us.
He's a bigger ship than we are.
So and like, you know, the Holy Spirit uses the church to guide. And I feel like my church, my parish has been for a long time, it was guiding me out to sea into choppy waters and be like, see ya, good luck, you know. Like, but now in the last year, like it's been like I've been this small ship out at sea in choppy waters, and this big ship has like come alongside me and like started guiding me back to shore. And I feel like things are just going better. So it's just another thing I've been thinking about because like this week, as frustrating as it was, like it was silly at a point. Like it was so frustrating that I'm just like, what is going on? You know? And then a lot of good things still happened this week. So I'm just in a better place than I have been. So I'm happy about that.
I am thrilled about that. That is fantastic.
Come a long way since my drug dealing days.
That was, I can't. I was about to say how beautiful it was what you just shared.
Right, I saw you about to do it.
I know. I was about to say something really nice that was so profound and beautiful, Taylor, and you had to throw drugs in there one last time. Well, that was it. That was really beautiful. That was really beautiful and profound, Taylor.
Was it?
That was it.
I should have ended with the drug bit then.
All right, try again. Ready? And go.
Oh, I got some for you. Maybe it'll make you a better host. Okay, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. World Youth Day is only about a year away. It's happening in Lisbon, Portugal. It's the largest gatherings of human beings ever, but which absolutely makes it the largest gathering of Catholics. For Catholic youth, Catholic young adult, this next year is going to be in Lisbon, Portugal. If you want to go as an individual or if you want to help get a group signed up, the best way to do that is through our friends over at Select International Tours, the greatest and best of pilgrimage organizations that the church has to offer. So if you are interested in doing that, you can head on over to fortecatholic.com/tours for more details. Just click on the button there and it'll lead you to all the information you could possibly need to go hang out with the Pope and Catholics from all over the world. It looks like it's going to be a great trip. So fortecatholic.com/tours to find out more today. Welcome back to Forte Catholic. I am Taylor Schroll. That is Olivia Newton-Harrison. Olivia, do you have, I might have asked you this before, but I have forgotten.
Okay.
So even if the audience remembers, I do not. All the drugs. So if you had to say what your favorite singular book in the Bible was, what would it be?
Sirach.
That's a good one.
Thanks.
Because of the wisdom?
Sure.
You're clearly lacking in it. You should read it more.
What's your favorite?
Do you know what mine is?
John.
Very close.
Really? James.
Physically very close.
Oh, Matthew. Mark.
That's
Luke.
Colder.
Luke. Acts.
There you go.
Hey!
In my first book, Theophilus, I love that. It's the greatest intro. Everybody's like, oh yeah, the intro to John. It's so beautiful and moving. And I'm like, the book of Acts just starts, in my first book, Theophilus. I'm like, you don't get any better than that.
That's pretty good. That's a good opening.
So Acts is my favorite book. So when we are in the Easter season, not only are we rejoicing that Jesus is risen, but I'm also rejoicing because we get to read from the book of Acts during Mass. And we got an absolute gem the other day, an absolute gem from the book of Acts. Before we read it, I'm just going to ask you, have you ever heard of decision-making fatigue?
Yes.
What does it mean to you?
The Cheesecake Factory's menu.
Right.
I mean, seriously, have you ever seen anything more insane in your life?
Right.
I mean, it's a spiral notebook.
So there's part of decision-making fatigue is that
too many choices.
But also what if you had to order from that every day? And the thing was you have to order something new every day. That's you know what I mean? It's doing that over and over and over and over again. Have you heard the aliens that run Facebook and Apple? Have you heard about their wardrobe? So
No.
Steve Jobs and
they wear the
Facebook
same
boy?
thing every single day.
Right.
That's right.
Because
they
one
already
less
do
decision.
too much. That's right.
So even these people who are some of the smartest, I was going to say smartest people, we know that at least one of them's an alien. And that's not the drugs talking, that's real.
That is real. That's true.
That's
right.
They literally wear the same thing every day so they don't have to make a decision to start their day.
Jim Fulwiler, who's a comic who was at one point a radio personality for the Catholic channel on Sirius XM, she wears the same outfit every single tour date on her comedy
Well,
tour.
she did. Did you hear what happened?
Yes, I know.
She left all of her clothes in the hotel.
I know. It was a $7
And now she's like, I need a
sweater.
big and tall store for women. She's
true.
like 19 feet tall.
But that's part of the reason is because, you know, it takes out the whatever. But when you look at like, when you see old, like if you ever watched The Crown, which I know you love, or Downton Abbey, which I know is your favorite. I'm kidding. But they had dressers. And, you know, you think it's because that they can't dress themselves. I think it had a lot to do with somebody made a lot of decisions for them because they were making such massive decisions.
Right.
As royals, they were like, oh, whatever corset you want to put me in.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You know, they don't really care.
I mean, same.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like that's why Meghan Markle left England. Okay, go ahead.
So, yeah, that's the reason.
She wanted to make a decision about her clothes.
I can't do this.
Oh, Meghan.
Never mind. I'm not going to say what I was going to say. So, I just made myself laugh. That doesn't happen often. So,
Really? I feel.
That's a joke.
Oh, okay.
I just don't often have the ability to hold it in and have it just be for me. So,
Party of one right here.
right. So I think a lot of the decision-making fatigue also comes into, we talked about this before on the show about like discernment culture. And this is something, there's been a theme over the last week's show, this week's show, and next week's show, where it's a different thing that Taylor has learned about himself and or changed about himself recently. So part of this comes from poker. And I promise we will get to acts here in a second.
Did not see that coming.
But I've been playing poker for a long time, and I've been in this poker league, and I've been like the epitome of consistency and mediocrity. So like there's 30 something people in this thing, and I've gotten like 11th to 15th over the course of like our season, a year. Pretty much every year I've been in it for like 6 years. There's a lot of people worse. 10th to 15th out of 30, isn't terrible. But at the same time, like, do you know what the term bubble boy
Yeah.
means?
Well, that was a real person.
Not that bubble boy. Like,
what do you mean?
In sports or in poker. So like if you're gonna pay out 5 people in poker, I get 6th. If you pay out 4, I get 5th. If you pay out 3, I get 4th.
Can you explain this
That's
to me
called
when we're
bubble
not on the air?
So, no, I'm going to explain it to you now. So, because if your dumb self can get it, that means every listener got it. You are the lowest common denominator of me and all the listeners. So, if we all agree, if we're all going to play poker,
Yeah.
at the top 3, the first place, second place, and third place,
Get money.
get money.
Okay.
I would get 4th.
And you would get money?
I would not get money. That's
Oh.
the bubble. I'm on the bubble. I didn't make any money, right?
Okay, got
so
it.
I'm like I'm exemplary at being mediocre at poker. So I was finally like, I need to change something. So I've been watching a lot of YouTube poker videos and watching how people play it.
Rounders, you've been watching
I don't
Molly's
know- I don't
game.
know what
Those
that
are
means.
movies. I was just kidding.
Okay. But I've been watching like these professional players play.
Okay.
And I feel like I've taken the next step in poker playing. I literally learned a new skill.
You actually learned by watching?
Oh yeah. I pick up on
really?
what people do because I people watch. And
Well, I
learned
get that, but
how
I didn't
they
know.
change. So
it's not just all chance.
No, because
Okay.
essentially what I was doing was, long story short, I was always playing the cards in front of me. I was never playing the person across from me. And I feel like that's the big step that I made because now I'm betting based on what I think they think I have and what I think they have instead of what I actually have.
Okay.
Right. So I took this next step and I got second place at the next tournament after like
You popped the bubble.
yeah, I did. Yay! After spending
have a
like
bubble,
a month, or really 2 months doing this, because it was like a couple weeks before the previous one, I got like 6th or 7th, and then I got second after like really focusing on it. So I feel like I've gotten to become a better poker player. But one thing that's been happening at poker, and one thing that I do that messes with other people is, especially as I've gotten more confident in how I'm playing, and this is how I am in poker now and how I am in real life, and it really bothers people, both in real life and in poker. I make decisions quickly. I don't need to sit there and ponder things. Like I have, every now and then I'll miss something, but it's like I'm constantly thinking about all the factors in a decision. And then whenever a decision needs to come to me, like I don't need time. A lot of people are like, oh, I need to discern that for 6 months, or I need to think about it for a week, or I need it. It's like, I'm good. I got it, right? And it really messed with this guy at poker because it tripped him out. Because I changed how I was playing. So he was having a hard time reading me. And he's very good. He's one of the better players there. And it was pissing him off that he couldn't read what I was doing and that I was making decisions quick. Because a lot of times people read like,
Oh, the pause,
if
or the
you
break.
if you have a good hand,
Yeah.
you might have a tell where you call really quickly or you take forever if you have a good hand, you know, and people start learning. But, so So I've been thinking a lot about decisions and how I make quick decisions and how like that's frustrated a lot of holy people in my life because a lot of people have tried to put it back on me like, oh, that's not the holy way to do it. We need to discern and take forever. And I feel incredibly vindicated. Remember 18 minutes ago when I brought up the book of Acts?
Yeah, I remember.
Okay, I have a story for you. You ready for this?
Oh,
Before we do the story, do you have any thoughts about quick decision making? Are you a quick decision maker or do you take forever?
I just hate making. I just don't make them. I am. I see. Look, I can't even decide. I can't even decide.
What just popped into my head? I hadn't even thought about it till just now. But like all the smartest people in the world pick what they're gonna wear.
Yeah.
For one day. I've been in this room with you recording your show where you do like 19 wardrobe changes a day.
I do.
You're the opposite.
I am the opposite. But those are for different shows, Taylor. I don't wear the same. But I would much rather somebody else make a decision, but I know that that's from trauma. So, but that's where I'm at. Like when people talk about Ephesians 5, like women should be submissive to men, I'm like, amen. Like I'm in.
I've never heard that say.
That sounds fantastic.
Why?
Tell me where to sign up because make the decision. Like just do it. Tell me what to do, where to go. But that's again, that's with trauma. We won't go into it. But for me, a lot easier. Yeah, you make the decision. I'm cool.
Trauma makes Ephesians 5 easier. Good to know.
Yes, let's all say that that's what I just said theologically.
Here's my story about Acts. Going away from your trauma very quickly.
Yeah, please.
I felt very vindicated for how I live my life.
I love how you do this with the Bible.
Because of X.
You are so adorable.
I'm an incredible Protestant. I just look at the Bible and I make it fit my lifestyle and say that all is hunky-dory.
I love how you're like, we had an incredible time in Mass. Why, Taylor? Because something was proven about what I said. Yeah.
I think a great time in Mass being a Protestant. So
being right.
Here we go.
All right,
Acts chapter 1.
Yep.
This is, there were 12 apostles and then there were 11. Do you remember why there were 11 instead of 12?
Yeah, the one guy was a bad guy. He really wanted silver and he got rid of Jesus.
And then
we don't like that guy.
Killed himself before he spent it. What a weirdo.
Judas.
At least spend the money, man.
I mean,
okay. So,
nice. That's what we learned out of the Judas story.
These are the lessons I learned from scripture.
Why was the silver on the ground?
I learned
go ahead.
I learned a song from, there's Bone Thugs and Harmony. Do you remember them?
Yeah.
They said something to the effect of, let me see if I brought them up before I get, I'm tired of running and ducking. Quit running then, especially if I didn't do anything, do something then. So if you're already being charged with something, you might as well do it, AKA drug dealing.
Oh my gosh.
Guys, I'm not a drug dealer. The bit's over.
Today was brought to you by Tylenol.
Yeah,
all right, go ahead.
Yeah, those drugs, huh? So Acts chapter 1.
Okay.
Remember how Acts chapter 1 starts?
Yeah, you already did the whole thing.
Yeah.
We'll say it again. You know it.
What was his name?
John.
Theophilus. Okay.
Theophilus.
You were so close. John. No, Theophilus. I was one letter off.
You knew I wasn't going to say Philip.
It was John with an N. Okay.
You knew I wasn't going to get that. Come on.
Here we go. In my first book, Theophilus. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So back down in I almost said episode 21. In episode 21 of Acts. No, that would be
of WandaVision.
Episode 1, chapter, no, whatever.
Just go.
Chapter 1, verse 21. This is the situation. All the apostles are gathered. Judas left,
gone.
And they're like, we need to replace this person.
Is he dead at this point?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Oh, okay.
Therefore, is not. The Gospels happened chronologically before Acts. I didn't know if you knew that.
No, I know that. I just didn't know. Anyway, go ahead. They came in and told everybody. Yeah.
Therefore, it is necessary that one of the men who accompanied us this whole time, the Lord Jesus came and went among us, beginning from the baptism of John until the day on which he was taken up from us, become with us a witness to his resurrection. So essentially they're saying, there's a lot of preamble to this, and they're like, hey, we need a new guy to fill in for Judas. Right. Not tough shoes to fill. Like, he could have been okay and be like, you're doing great. So,
this is an easy ask.
Right, exactly. So we all get caught up in decision fatigue and in like discernment. And I love how they discern this. They're like, first of all, we need to narrow it down. I'm totally down for that. I've done a lot of hiring myself. You need to narrow down the choices. That's why you do resumes and that kind of thing. Vet people. So they were like, it needs to be somebody that's with us this whole time. One, they know the story of Jesus because they were there.
Right.
Two, we trust them because they've been around this whole time.
So Barnabas out.
No.
Pilate, no way.
Barnabas is a good guy from the books of Acts.
Barnabas in.
Yeah.
Wait, well, Barabbas.
Oh! I was like, Barnabas is literally right here and he's at this meeting and he's a very good person.
All right, Barabbas.
Okay. Okay. So they proposed two. So from this large group, they proposed two. So they were like, okay, they did a little bit of work. They're like, let's put one stipulation on this. Needs to be a guy, obviously, that has been with us from the beginning. Okay. Would you say that is a difficult decision to have made?
That seems pretty easy.
Seems pretty easy to me too.
There's like 10 people alive.
And then they narrow it down, which could be a little bit more to these two guys. Joseph called Barsabbas, another name just to confuse you.
That's what I meant.
Who was also known as Justus, and Matthias. So we have Joseph Barsabbas Justus. It's like me making up a new nickname for him every time.
He's like Highway 249, you know.
Olivia Newton-John.
Yeah, exactly.
Joseph Newton-John or Matthias. So to be fair, the man with three names or Matthias. So they did an easy decision of narrowing it down to, has he been here a while?
Yeah, right.
To like, they did pick two. I have to give them that. Do you know, this was just read at Mass a while ago. Do you know how they picked between these two people?
Of course I don't.
Okay. It's the greatest thing.
I have absolutely no idea.
It's the greatest story of the Bible.
I can't wait. Is it in The Chosen?
So they narrowed it down to these two. Then they prayed. No, The Chosen is still at the beginning of the Gospels. Your gospel timeline is very confused.
Jeez.
Then they prayed. You, Lord, who know the hearts of all, show which of these two you have chosen to take the place in this apostolic ministry from which Judas turned away to go to his own place. So they're essentially praying because this is a very important decision. Then they prayed. And a lot of people in the modern day would be like, we need to pray about this for weeks and months. We've narrowed it down. We need to pray and discern and kind of vote and talk through it. Here's what the apostles did for one of the 1/12 most important positions ever. Then they gave lots to them, and the lot fell upon Matthias, and he was counted with the 11 apostles. End of chapter/episode.
That was it.
They rolled dice.
So what happened to the guy with three names?
The dice didn't roll his way, so he was Bubble Boy.
He was you.
He was me.
Taylor 2019.
Oh, man. He was the man with three names and no place among the apostles.
Is he ever mentioned again?
I have no idea. Maybe he changed his name to Barnabas and became a big character.
Oh, that is really interesting. That's what lots means?
Yeah, like casting lots is like
dice?
Essentially like dice. Yeah, it's like a game.
That's interesting.
So they were like, let's
whatever God says. Blow my dice.
Let's pray over these dice. Snake eyes.
Peter's the Pope.
Snake eyes.
Snake eyes. Pardon, all right, everybody, pick a number from 1 to numeral 4.
Right. Yeah, exactly. We only have 4 numbers at this point. They're like, it's a fourth king named George. What do we call the next one?
That's funny.
So it was just so funny to me that like, okay, they did their work.
Yeah.
They narrowed it down, an easy choice.
Yeah.
They did narrow it down to 2. I have to give them that. But then they were like, we can't make a decision. This is too important of a choice. Where I would imagine they would be stressed out about it a little bit. Like, we got to pick the right guy, you know?
The last guy was a terrible choice.
Right. And we know that 1/12 of all bishops can get us in trouble. So they wanted to go with a new guy after the last one got in trouble. So they cast lots.
Yeah.
And it was just like, it just blew a hole in this, like, being stressed out about spiritual decisions. Because it's like, one, they had already made the smart choice of like, is it somebody that we trust that we know knows good things? It's like, we all kind of know people like that. Like, who would I trust to have on the show? It's people that I know, or that I literally had a conversation about somebody who's going to be a guest soon that I don't know. And so I don't know them directly, but I asked a few people in my life, do you know this person? Do you think they'd be good for the show? And they all said yes. So guess who got an invite? Right? It's like
me. I'm just kidding.
No, I didn't vet you before. And golly, I'm just stuck now. But they went through the easy decision and then kind of a harder decision. They narrowed it down, but then they were like, we're going to kind of leave this up to chance/God. And I just thought that was just like a revelation of like, man, like this is a huge decision. And they just like, they didn't stress about it, right? I'm not saying we should, vote or roll dice for big decisions, but it did take a lot of the stress off of like big spiritual decisions for me.
Yeah. Well, what about like, would this, how sometimes I think things are going to translate and then I say the story and then you're like, that doesn't apply at all. So let's try this one.
Oh, I've done a tremendous job of taking crap you've said today and connecting it to what I wanted to say. I'm on fire today.
You are. You are hot. Okay.
Thank you.
So, jeez. Why do I talk? But Mary, when she was visited by the angel and the angel basically comes down and says, listen, here's the deal. This is what we want to do. This is what it's going to look like. It's not like she then said, hey, I'm going to need some time. I need to go talk to my parents. You know, they're going to be saints.
She's a child.
She's a kid. You know what I mean? She said, I'm going to talk to like my rabbis. Maybe I'm going to journal my feelings. I'm going to, you know, bake bread around it. She literally says, let it be done to me. Like she made her fiat was a decision. Is
let it be, let it be. Yeah, she made a decision in the moment.
She did.
Because
she really did. She trusts, but because why? Because she trusts in God and what his plan was.
And she had lived a life fairly, I'm saying for her, she lived a life 100% in tune with God. With us, if we're trying to live a holy life and we're receiving the sacraments and we're praying and we're doing these things, we're aligned. If we're aligned with God,
you're already there.
It shouldn't take that long to make a decision.
Exactly
right?
Right.
And so that's a perfect example.
That's exactly right.
Good job.
Hey,
it took you the whole show, but the last part of the show, you finally got something. But it's a perfect example because she's a great example because she was 100% in tune with God's will, even though she didn't fully understand what was going on.
That's not the same.
She said yes, right? So very good. We're going to end there. No, don't say anything else. That's a great way to end. I'll be back next week. Liv might be back next month, or maybe she'll be in Aruba and I'll never see her again.
Are you going to Aruba?
I know you are. That's Liv Harrison. I'm Taylor Schroll. Bye. Say it. Thank you guys for watching and listening to today's episode. We hope that you enjoyed it. We mentioned YouTube earlier in the show, but another video that Liv and I recorded on the same day that we recorded this episode was we went and saw the hit multiverse movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and we adored it. That video is either up now or will be up soon. It will be up soon. I'm working on timing things in my head. It'll be up soon. So go subscribe to our YouTube channel today, youtube.com/Forte Catholic. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, and you'll be notified whenever that is coming out. We've also got in our series of A Catholic Perspective where we look at and talk about the Catholic viewpoint on hit movies and TV shows. We've also got one coming out about Doctor Strange. We just had one come out about Moon Knight. So check that out it's only on YouTube, youtube.com/Forte Catholic. Thank you guys so much for hitting that subscribe button. It means the world to us, and I'll be back next week. See you soon.